Well, good morning, everybody. As we quickly cover the highlights of the forecast over the next couple of weeks, we have to just take a quick look back at just how much rain came up the East Coast out of this system that began about a week ago. We can now see that there was widespread 3 to 5 inch rainfall event, and some places picked up substantially more than that, causing a lot of flooding. Now, in the meantime, things have cleared out here, and we're going to bring in a little bit more snow into parts of kind of the Appalachian Mountains, into parts of New England today. But other than that, high pressure has taken over, and all of our attention is going to go back to the west for the next system. So taking a look at the early morning temperatures this morning behind this low, we had the snow squalls that came through yesterday and some pretty cold air, but this is going to be replaced pretty quickly. Take a look at today's high temperatures, and then watch what happens as we go into Tuesday to Wednesday, and then to Thursday and Friday and Saturday. Big ridge starts to open up, bringing in a lot more mild air, and then we play into the weekend. So this will be Christmas Eve, and then this will be Christmas Day. Now there's a transition happening during this time period where there is a low that's going to slide to the south. You'll see it again in a few moments, that comes across Arizona and emerges somewhere here in the Central Plains. And as that comes, it's going to switch the flow around, bring some upslope flow, and start to get some snow risk back into the western and high plains, all the way up here into parts of Nebraska, South Dakota, Wyoming, and Colorado. Out of this pattern shift, we're going to get somewhere around Christmas Day. But if we want to take a look at what's happening before then, well, most of the action is going to be here in the west. So let's pick this up midday today on Tuesday and play it through as high pressure builds east. We watch the next storm system just sliding along the coast here, bringing in rainfall. That's why we have some flood watches out right in through this area of California right now. And as we get this all the way out there to, well, early in the day on Thursday, we start to see the opening up of this next system that's coming through. Now, what it looks like by the time we get to Thursday is this shortwave right here, and it's got a lot of support on its back side and on its south side from the subtropical jet. So this is going to come racing through the country here, basically Christmas Day, then through the 27th and 28th. It'll be followed by a big jet extension that I'm going to play this quickly here, but by the time we get out there to about the 28th, 29th, and 30th, it almost circumnavigates the entire planet. That's a really impressive bit of the jet stream. And as a result, California needs to be careful with this next system as the strong jet stream winds push in here, just to see the risk of flooding rains increasing. And remember, that system that comes out here on Christmas Day, it's going to have this support from this subtropical piece of the jet, which is going to kick this system up the east coast, increasing the risk from the 26th to the 29th, again from our flooding rains up the east. I also want to mention that as the jet extension does reach California, there is risk of pretty high winds. Okay, we've talked a lot about it. Let's see what it looks like in the models. So playing this forward, this is through Thursday, getting into Friday. Now watch the system open up, coming off the Rocky Mountains into Saturday, and then Sunday and Monday. Now there it is again. I just want to walk you back again. This is Thursday into Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Now at that point, you saw a system roll through the northwest. You saw the system move out of the southern plains. We see some snow on the backside of it. Keep an eye on this guy right here, though. It's in both models. As we play this into Tuesday and Wednesday, that's the piece that kicks around the bottom side of this and starts to rip up the east coast, just at the point when the subtropical jet finally reaches, that big jet extension reaches California. So over the next 7 days, that's total accumulated precipitation from the European model, and that's the GFS. But I want to show you the probabilities side of this. See, the best chance of getting an inch out of this, we have chances over here of picking up 4 to 5 inches in parts of California. But notice this larger area that's now opened up to this system following, well, starting on Christmas here and then moving east with time. It's going to start to really push the risk of heavy rains, 27th, 28th, and 29th up the east coast, which isn't really well represented here. But that moisture coming through is hitting some of those really dry soils. Here, again, this is Christmas Day and following, going to be hitting this particular area where the Mississippi River is still quite low. There is the risk of some snow on the backside of this, so if you're curious, through 6 p.m. on Christmas, you can see this system kind of ejecting here into the northern plains, bringing in some snow. Really, this is kind of the western high plains here, and then it will bring a little bit into the Sierra Nevada and Cascades as well. That's the European model solution. The GFS is really punching hard for this, so we'll watch that trend all week. But right now, the probability of getting an inch between now and the 29th looks something like this. Heavier snowfall amounts locked up in the mountains at this point. Okay, what about week 2? Well, at week 2, we're going to watch the extension of the jet finally get into California. That's going to be the mainstay of it while we go drier back in the midsection of the country. And we watch a system leave east. We've taken a look at all 3 of these. But what I'll be watching most carefully will be to see if this ridge that's just going to live in central North America does in fact retrograde and move its way on off back toward Alaska. In the meantime, what does that do? Well, it sends this wave here, the 27th, 28th, 29th, right up the East Coast, and that's the risk for the really heavy rainfall event up the East Coast. But the West, yeah, you got to deal with that trough as well. I do want to point out, you can listen to this more in my in-depth report, that the longer range outlook for January could favor Phase 2 MJO. And if it does, that's kind of game on for a second half of January to be just lit up with a lot of winter weather. We'll have to watch that transition. But back to those temperatures, here's the next 5 days, day 5 through 10 and day 10 through 15. There's a lot of mild air. Next 5 days, day 5 through 10, day 10 through 15. If there's a spot that's cooler, it's down across the south underneath the subtropical jet. Where's the polar vortex right now? It's over Greenland. That's where the coldest air on the planet is right now compared to average. Take a look at that. But notice how much more mild air has invaded Russia lately. This is a part of the transition we've been talking about for a few weeks that's going to redistribute that cold air across the northern hemisphere. It's not going to get to the States until we break down the big trough of low pressure that's over Alaska. On the precipitation side of things, notice still wet in this part of Australia, eastern Australia, but we got to talk a bit about South America because the latest European model trended wetter right across the driest parts of Brazil right here. This is the chance in the next 10 days of getting at least 2 inches. That's a 90 to 100% chance. Now, the GFS isn't on board with this, but it is showing that the European has been kind of trending wetter here. One thing to mention just as we kind of finish this up is that parts of Argentina have really made a pretty good recovery on their moisture. Spring rains have been good, which means the Argentinian crop is looking substantially better than it did a year ago. So I just want to point that out as we kind of wrap up this forecast video. Biggest thing I'll be watching is that MJO transition into phase 1 and 2. If that makes that completion, we're going to really see some changes both in South America and across North America. So we'll be kind of seeing how this evolves. I'll pick back up again tomorrow. I'll be in Pennsylvania tomorrow, so we'll talk to you from out east. Have a good one. Thanks.